Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome. My name is Chris. Another single note perfume overview. This one was, heavily requested, and it's all about black currant. And what I typically do with these single perfume note overviews is I show the fragrances that I have. At the end, tell you which ones I'm going to get rid of and if there's anything on my wish list. And with that, I'm going to dive right in. But before I do, let us all know down below what your favorite fragrances are that contain the note of black currant. And with that, let's get started. I'm going to start the list with one that I do not foresee me wearing in the next several months, but it's a great spring and summer, perhaps transitional scent if you live somewhere warmer. And if you live in the Southern Hemisphere, this is a very, very nice rose-centered fragrance. It's a pink floral, so it has peony, rose. It's very youthful, but it also has that black currant, and it has a little bit of a pomelo note or accord. So it has a freshness in addition to a little bit of green tea. So it's very fresh, it's very spring-light, it's very fun, it's very flirty. To me, this is a rose-centered fragrance for those who hate roses and say or think that they are only for old people. This to me has a youthfulness to it. It has a playfulness. It has a fun quality to it. It's very, very light, and I love to wear it in the spring and summer. And that black currant does give a little bit of a fresh berry quality, but also a little bit of a green stemmy quality. So very, very pretty. Next fragrance that has a little bit of black currant, it's not overly black currant, but I wanted to show it anyways, is called Sunshine Woman. And this is a perfume I love to wear in the summer, but also in the spring and transitional months because it has a lot of depth to it. It definitely is a tobacco-centered fragrance, but the tobacco in here is a tobacco flower, so it's a little bit more floral. It's not as heavy. It's not as tobacco-y. It certainly is not smoky. There's almond, there's vanilla in here, apricot. I get an apricot nuance, and the black currant is probably coming off a little bit, green and stemmy. It's not a super juicy fragrance like black currant can be juicy. It can be green, a little bit mysterious. Maybe it's adding a little bit of mystery and a little bit of the greenness, but this is definitely a tobacco, floral, apricot, osmanthus dominant scent. To me, it smells like you took these tobacco flowers and you dip them in an almond cream, because there is almond in here, but the almond is a little bit on the drier side. It's a little bit green. You dip those tobacco petals, the tobacco floral petals in there. That's a tongue twister. And then you dried them out and you added a little bit of osmanthus. And the osmanthus in here has apricot-y nuances, and it has a little bit of like a suede nuance, suede leathery nuance, which goes along with, the tobacco flower or the tobacco petals. Again, not super black currant dominant, but it adds a little bit to this fragrance, and one that I will be wearing. I'll stop wearing it in November and I'll pick it back up in the spring, but really nice, fun. An entryway tobacco with slight gourmand touches for the non-gourmand lover. Okay, two more black currant. These are much more black currant dominant. The first one is one of my best blind buys of the year. I don't do a lot of blind buys because they tend to be disastrous, and I'm just kind of tired of it. But this one was just a home run, and it was a great one because it smells terrific and it was a cheapie. This is my Kate Spade New York Sparkle, which is an absolute black currant dominant scent. And the perfumer behind this one is Louise Turner. She's come up with a lot of masterpieces. She's the nose behind Possibilities. She's the nose behind Blanche Bette. She created Good Girl and all the flankers. She also created Angel Eau de Toilette, which is my favorite version of Angel, so I was willing to give it a go, and it's wonderful. This is a gourmand floral. This has peony and basically black currant. So to me, this smells like a peony covered in a black currant cobbler or a black currant pie. It's just so delicious, and those notes and accords are very equally represented. It's just as much peony as it is that black currant deliciousness. It has like a creme brulee accord, so it absolutely is gourmand. So you have to love sweet fragrances and you have to love florals, but I love both. So this is quite yummy It doesn't have a huge scent bubble, but it does last for days on clothes. And I just find it to be one of those very addictive scents that when I spray it on my clothes, I'm just reaching for my wrist or reaching for my arm to smell it throughout the day. Another one is one of my most, I think I picked this up at the beginning of summer and I've worn it so much. It's a very, very easy reach, grab and go. My Bond number 9, Scent of Peace. I was late to the game, but I'm glad I got to the game in the end. This is one of my favorite easy reaches, grab and go gym scents, and I don't typically love to wear scents to the gym. I typically never do. I don't want to be overwhelmed by my scent. This is perfect. It makes me feel clean and fresh and pretty without being overwhelming, and I know that I'm not bothering other people because I have a quiet little scent bubble and I just smell so clean and fresh. So it's a fruity musk, and it's a fruity floral musk. So it definitely is black currant. I find that black currant is the heaviest note in here. It has grapefruit, so it's very fresh, a little bit of lily of the valley, lots of musk, but the musk is very, very light and airy. And I want to say a little bit of cedar in the base. I have had people comment on other videos that this smells exactly like light blue. And I would say, I mean, listen, everybody smells things differently. I've had every light blue iteration there is, and I've always had a light blue in my collection, and they do, they share similarities for sure, but there are some differences, and this one has a huge dose of black currant that, light blue does not have. Light blue is a lot muskier too. So this is a little bit fruitier and a little bit more, it still has citruses, but that black currant really separates it. And it's not as musky. It's a little bit cleaner and lighter, more transparent, but it has a small scent bubble, but it lasts literally for hours and hours and hours on my clothes. I find that this lasts a little bit longer. It definitely is expensive for an easy reach, grab and go, but I absolutely love it, and I got it for a good deal on Gem Shop, which is why I bought it. Speaking of musky fragrances, a fragrance that is on the opposite scale of the musk scale is this one right here, one of my Boss Bee fragrances. It is Creed Aventus for Her. This has the opposite musk than in Scent of Peace. This musk is super loud and very, very dominant. It also has, a lot of green apple. So it's green apple, lots of citruses, lemon, maybe bergamot, maybe a little bit of orange, and black currant. So those are the 4 main notes I do pick up. I think it has a little bit of apricot and peach, but I would say that's on the fresher side. Holy moly, this thing projects like a beast. I have to be very, very careful when I wear this. But the first time I wore this was, again, I was in Galleria at another time, and they have a Creed boutique there, which is a lot of fun. And I had sprayed this. This is the one I chose to spray on myself. I walked out of the store. I was walking down the mall, and literally I felt someone come up behind me, tap me on the shoulder, and it was somebody asking me what I wore or what I was wearing, and I was wearing Aventus for Her. So this definitely does present itself. But I do think that the black currant in here adds a little splash of greenness, which goes nicely with that green apple. I do wish that the musk was toned down a hair. I mean, this would be perfect if the musk was toned down a hair, but it is what it is, and it is a fantastic creation that I have to be in the mood to wear. I'm not always in the mood, but man, when I am in the mood, to be loud and obnoxious and powerful, this one's a good one. Speaking of loud and powerful is a newish pickup for me, Dolce Melodia. I didn't pick it up for the longest time because it's super expensive, but it was one of my special purchases of the summer. So this is a very, very nice unisex citrusy vanilla with a lot of saffron. And I think it's that saffron that makes it a little bit more appealing to wear throughout the year. And it's not just your typical, citrusy vanilla that a lot of people don't go for. The black currant in here definitely takes a seat to the saffron, which gives it a spiciness and the slightest touch of maybe a leathery vibe. So this is dominated by the vanilla, by the orangey citruses, and the saffron, but coming up next would be the very light, white florals and black currant. So not star of the show, but a supporting role, and very, very delicious fragrance that I definitely will be wearing in the month of October. And I should have put this on my October tray. In fact, I'll do it right now. So on my October tray, I will be wearing that beauty. Okay, speaking of blackcurrant and vanilla, oh my gosh, I am late to the game with this one, Zenobia. I saw this all over social media. This is so addictive. And I can see why, because it's so delicious. And for the longest time, I wasn't dying to try it because I was a little bit afraid of the oud. I thought the oud would come off a little bit too strong and overpower the vanilla. So this is a ambery vanilla blackcurrant scent with that doesn't go too dark. Now it does have oud in here. I'm telling you, I detect zero oud. Zero. I think it does have a little bit of saffron because I get a little bit of spiciness, but nothing that smells like incense. It's not smoky. So I want to say there's a little bit of saffron in here, but oh my goodness gracious. I can see what the hype is about. Absolutely worth it. Delicious, very dressed up scent in my opinion. You know, I wouldn't be wearing this with jeans and a t-shirt. One of the nice things about this brand, well, there are a lot of nice things. They create a lot of nice scents, but they do carry travel sizes. So you can try before you buy, which I really, really like. I'm not a fan of houses that don't have either, you know, small decants or the travel size available. And I think that puts them at a disadvantage because I think a lot of us, or many people, have kind of lost the desire to blind buy, and they're missing out on business by not offering the sample or a travel size first. So absolutely delicious. I am 100% behind this gorgeous ambery vanilla blackcurrant scent. Another one of my new pickups, and this has been on my wish list for a while, but it was kind of sold out. It was harder to find, is Damask by Ormonde Jayne. Let me tell you, I love this house. I have so many perfumes in this house because they're just so well done. There are so few scents that I have tried from Ormonde Jayne that I don't like, and this is a gorgeous. This is a jammy rose blackcurrant scent that I find addictive and just so easy to wear. I have worn this to work, and I'm not afraid of overpowering people because my scent bubble is rather tight, but man, it's so delicious. I have heard people say, because I've shown this over on Instagram, that they think it smells exactly like Delina, and I can see why. They definitely share a lot of similarities. There are some big differences. This one does not have rhubarb, and that rhubarb in Delina is a little hard for me at first. It really is strong, and it almost gets to the point where it gives me a headache, but it does die down, fortunately. But it's one of the very few things I don't like about that scent. I own it, and I think it's beautiful, but it's my one criticism of that perfume. This one has zero rhubarb. It doesn't have lychee, and it has blackcurrant instead. And the rose in here is a little bit sweeter and a little bit jammier. And those are the differences. Otherwise, I can see definitely how they share similarities. It has the slightest bit of a zestiness in the top, whether that's pink pepper or a little subtle mild citrus. I don't know, but it's so beautiful. But this one seems to be a little bit more elusive and harder to track down, but if you can find it, it is quite lovely. And if you are like me and love most everything about Delina except that rhubarb, this is quite lovely. And it has a delicious jammy rose blackcurrant, and I'm a huge fan of those notes and accords. Speaking of rose blackcurrant perfumes, I'm gonna grab this one. This is Louboutin by Christian Louboutin, and I got the entire Discovery set, which I do strongly recommend if you're interested in trying these fragrances. There are a lot of lovely ones. It wasn't super expensive. It's not going to break the bank, and they're very fun to go through, and they're a lot bigger than, you know, the small little sample sizes that a lot of fragrance houses offer. I've just really been enjoying having these fragrances. So Louboutin is a lot more of a linear, slightly simple rose blackcurrant scent. It's very linear. It's a lot more linear than Damask, but it's just very, very well done. Now the rose in here is a fresh, in between a pink and a magenta rose that was covered in dew, and the dew just dried off. So it's not quite dewy. It's more on the fresh side. It's fresh, a little bit of green from that black currant, but it's not soapy. So it's clean and fresh, but not soapy. That's important. So I really love this scent. I think it's quite beautiful. And I love the wearing experience when you just kind of dab it on your wrist. But I do think it's a little overpriced for what it is, even though it's very, very well done. Let's see. The next one is a full-on gourmand. Holy moly. Crumb Couture. This one smells like blueberry, even though it's black currant, which is the fruit in here, or the fruity accord. Holy moly. So this is a croissant. So this has a croissant accord, I think. A very buttery croissant that was completely smothered in a thick, heavy black currant compote. And that's all this fragrance is. It is 100% gourmand. You have to love your gourmand fragrances. You have to love your sweet fragrances. And it doesn't last forever, but it's quite yummy while it lasts. Very, very short longevity, but quite yummy. Another one I've been showing all the time. You're like, Chris, stop. You show that all the time. Narco Oasis. I mean, I show it because it took me a long time to buy it. It was on my wish list for a year. I show it because it's expensive and I wear it a lot. I want to give it some wear. It's a huge bottle. It looks like I haven't worn a lot, but my golly, I've been wearing it a ton. I just don't overspray. It's not a strong fragrance, but I don't want to overspray it. You know, it's a very gourmand fragrance. It, to me, smells like an ice cream. There's something very cold about it, or cooling, like a cold, creamy vanilla ice cream that has, you know, chunks of passion fruit, but the passion fruit isn't overly tart. And then you drizzle like a black currant, blood orange syrup or compote or jelly on top. It's so delicious. Black currant is present, but it's not a star player. It definitely is a supporting note. But my golly, this is a delicious scent and one of the very, very few fruity dominant, citrusy dominant fragrances that I would wear year round, because it has a really heavy vanilla note, but it also has some freshness from those berries and citruses that make it quite delicious. Okay, I'm down to my last two, I think, unless I forgot something. The next one is a perfume that I really, really think is delicious, but I never wear it. And I don't know why, because it's a spectacular perfume. Tonkazure by Gallagher Fragrances. No, this is Pearlescent. This is the sister brand. And this is a blueberry, black currant dominant fragrance. I don't even know if it has blueberries in it, but I know it has black currant, but it smells like a blueberry, black currant, cinnamon jam. And then you added in like a sparkly rose champagne, like a champagne with rose water. I would call it almost a floral gourmand. It's more gourmand, it has more gourmand elements. The rose or rose water or rose champagne isn't as strong, but it's definitely detectable in the background. I think it has a little bit of tonka, maybe a little bit of almond. And I pick up in the base like a sweet tobacco. I don't even know if tobacco is in here, but I picked that up. And it's one that I scratch my head on because I love the perfume, but I never wear it. And I've considered decluttering it because I just don't wear it. And I never can bring myself to do it because it's such a delicious scent. And I should have added that to my October tray. I'm going to add that to my October tray because that needs to get worn. The last one is Soie Malaquais. Soie Malaquais. This is a rose, cacao, hazelnut. I think that's the nut. No, chestnut, satiny perfume that is really, really lovely. It's very smooth. It has a silkiness to it. All the notes are so beautifully blended in this fragrance. And for a long time, it was on my wish list, but it just wears very, very softly, at least on me. But it is just masterfully blended and a spectacular fragrance by the brand. I mean, I've tried everything in the line now. I think there's only 2, maybe 3 fragrances that weren't for me. Everything else, unfortunately, is so pretty. And this one is one of them. And that brings me to the end. It brings me to, after going through all my fragrances that contain the note of black currant, do I have anything on my wish list? And the answer is no, including Soie Malaquais. That's not on my wish list anymore. I feel like I just have Plenty of fragrances. I just picked up one of the newest fragrances in the line, Chamomile Satin. I love it, and I just think I'm good. I'm good. I have plenty of black currant fragrances, some of which I need to wear more of. And if there anything on the chopping block, and honestly, the answer is no. I don't want to get rid of anything right now. I really do. There's nothing that I dislike and nothing I don't want to wear. I do need to give Tonkazure a little bit more wear time because it is quite beautiful. And that was it. Those were my fragrances that contain black currant. Thanks to all of you who asked for this. It was one of my highest requested single note videos, and I can see why. It's a very, very versatile note in fragrances, and it can add a lot to a perfume depth and loveliness. So before I say goodbye for today, let us all know what your favorite black currant fragrance or a fragrance that contains black currant in the comments below. Everybody loves reading those. And thanks again for sticking around. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everybody who always gives me a thumbs up, subscribes to my channel, and always leaves me a lovely note in the comments. And with that, I'll see you on the next one.